What is going on, everybody? It is Friday, June the 10th. I really tried hard to get the correct date today. For some reason, I just can't do dates. But you know what that means. It's time for my news radar. And let's start this off with an update about a story that we actually talked about maybe a week or so ago. There were rumors going around, floating around the interwebs, that Microsoft was preparing, or perhaps had been preparing for quite some time, to release a sort of Chromecast type device that would be targeting gamers, specifically with the idea being you would be streaming your Game Pass games over the internet to this little streaming device. This device could be pretty cheap. It could be extremely small. All it needs to be able to do is connect to the internet. You pair a controller to it, the game streams to it, displays on your TV, you play the game, you're happy, everything's great. Game Pass is like 10, 15 bucks a month. That would be the sell of this device called Keystone. Well, just the other day, Jez Corden on Windows Central published this article, Xbox Keystone Streaming Console. Everything we know so far. Basically, he was able to get some insider information that this thing might have ended its life of being a little Chromecast streaming thing and is now actually becoming a super duper budget minded streaming gaming console. Jez here writes, Keystone is the codename of Microsoft's next Xbox console, set to be another companion to the Series X or Series S. And if you know anything about these consoles, the Series S is sort of your cheaper version. The Series X is your premium version. Well, perhaps this Keystone device, Xbox Series Game Pass, I don't know, will come in as the cheapest variant, perhaps $100 or cheaper, as just this super duper easy entry point for Xbox gaming. Now, there's a lot of good stuff in this article. Link will be in the description, so do go give the article a read yourself. But the important things to me are, one, what's the price going to be? And, again, we're thinking probably $100 or less. But then the next thing is, when is it going to launch? And Jez here in this article says that he was told that the old version, the one that was going to be more like a streaming stick, actually is totally serviceable, that it works pretty well, and they probably could have shipped it as it was, but they decided they just needed more to differentiate itself. It needed more features, more capabilities. So when this thing will launch itself, hard to say, but the fact that they basically had it working in a prior form already leads me to think maybe it's not actually 2-3 years off. Maybe it's going to be a little bit closer than that. Jez does indicate, though, 2023 is probably where you might expect to see this thing. I think this is a really, really interesting concept because, like I've talked about numerous times now, Xbox, Microsoft, they care less and less about what hardware you buy. They care more and more that you have an Xbox Game Pass subscription. So if you have that subscription for $10, $15 a month, let's say 15 because that's what gives you the streaming capabilities as of now, you can play the games on your PC. You can stream them to your phone. You can buy a console should you wish to do that. You can do this through your web browser or anywhere you have a web browser, essentially, at this point. So this is their concern, is getting as many people as possible signed up for Xbox Game Pass. And then again, if you're sort of in that budget-minded area, you don't want to spend $400 on a console, but you want decent graphics, you want to be able to play the newest games, well, 15 bucks a month and buying a maybe $100 little box to sit in front of your TV might be a really logical, really reasonable way to go. Guys, let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Sticking with news from the Microsoft world, another update. So a few days back, I brought you guys a rather distressing news story that I believe is from Business Insider to begin with. And it talked about how some executives at Microsoft had been accused of some pretty gross, pretty inappropriate behavior. In particular, Alex Kipman, who was the head of Microsoft HoloLens. So this wasn't just some guy down the hall in a cubicle. This was like a higher up type dude, an important character. He'd been accused of doing some pretty gross stuff, at least in one instance. Apparently, he was demoing something in HoloLens in front of everyone. They could see what was happening on another screen. They could see what he was seeing. And apparently what he was seeing involved some inappropriate type things going on. Not inappropriate for you personally in the privacy of your own home, but inappropriate to do in front of your co-workers. Well, kind of surprising to me in some ways, because things like this often just get brushed under the rug. Well, not in this case. Alex Kipman, head of HoloLens, has resigned. He is stepping down, no longer going to be in this position. It's one of these crazy things because a lot of people talk about this guy and say, you know, he had great passion for the project. He was smart. He knew what he was doing, but it's like he would do really dumb things like this. But apparently they've been going on for years from the reports that I have seen. It's a shame that it took this long for something to be done about it, but it is at least good that something has happened. Now, it's not like HoloLens was already doing great. There were all sorts of rumors about the demise, or maybe the not demise, of HoloLens 3. There's the big military contract that apparently isn't going super duper well. So this doesn't look good for HoloLens in general. I believe that it's actually now being pulled underneath another banner. And I believe Panos Panay is now basically going to be overseeing this as well. It will be put into the Windows and Devices organization, and it will be under Panos Panay. So yes, that is correct. So this is good news if you like seeing people who did gross bad things in some small way not be able to do. I was gonna say be punished for them, but I mean, I'm sure he's still doing okay financially speaking. I'm sure this was a very well-paying job. He just gets to resign. He didn't even get fired. He just sort of resigns. I don't know what his future prospects are going to look like, but at least he's not around, if these allegations were true, to continue perpetuating this sort of behavior. And if other allegations, because it didn't just end with Kipman. There were other people accused of some bad behavior, not necessarily in the sexual misconduct area, which was Kipman's vice of choice, but some other problems. I'd like to see all of these things be addressed, but it is what it is. This is a weird, strange situation, and bad news probably for HoloLens in the sense that destabilization, well, maybe it will destabilize and restabilize into a better situation. Who knows? Weird things for the future of HoloLens. Just an update I wanted to give you guys about this particular story. And let's end things with a bunch more Z Fold and Z Flip information, which will culminate in a very, very light rumor that I really hope is true, and it could be a really big deal for people like myself and perhaps people like yourself. So the first one comes from John Prosser. This is a series of dates. Now, we have to keep in mind, this is the same guy that tweeted out images of a MacBook Air that it bears no resemblance to the MacBook Air that was just launched at WWDC. So he is not without fault. So as with all rumors, and I've said this a million times lately, take it with a pinch of salt. Could be accurate, could be inaccurate, although August is, like, we can assume August is like 99.9% when this is going to happen. The particular date, the colors, these sorts of things, maybe not. Samsung event, S22 launching in lavender on August the 26th. The Fold 4, August 10th. The Flip 4, also on August 10th. He also talks about the Watch 5 in these particular configurations launching on August the 26th. These are things, hey, there's that MacBook Air that we talked about earlier. So August, that all that stuff makes a ton of sense. So set your calendars, set your watches, set your alarms, contact your financial institution of choice to make sure there's room on your credit cards to purchase that Fold 4 as it has come out. But the next bit of information, the one that I'm actually excited about, is this tweet here. Galaxy Z Fold 4 and Z Flip 4 will add a swipe for split screen function. Oh man, I want this. So the closest approximation of what I think this is going to look like can be found in a video posted by The Unlocker, a great YouTube channel in their own right. Clearly, 722,000 subscribers. This is the Oppo Find-In, and this is one of the ways their split screen functionality works. Let's watch this clip here. He's on a web browser, and then you'll see with two fingers, he swipes down. And then what happens is Chrome, which was his browser that was open, slides over, right? Goes into split screen. Now watch this other screen over here. I say other screens, it's the same screen, but it then shows his home screen. It shows the home screen, but I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that is literally his cover display home screen. So he swipes down, slides over, app, cover display home screen, and then he's able to just launch another app as if it's another screen. What does that look like to you? What device can you guys think of oh, this one, that's what it looks like. It looks like a Surface Duo, and that is a phenomenal idea to just literally, yeah, steal that from Oppo. It's great. Steal it from them. Because currently, the way you split screen things on the current Z Folds is good. It's pretty good, but this is better. So currently on the Fold, we're going to replicate this, but I'm using Edge because I use Edge. Let's say now I want to go ahead and launch YouTube Music because I use YouTube Music. I can do this a couple of different ways. I can swipe up, and then I can do the touch, and I can do split screen view, and then I can go down here. It's just like a list of apps, YouTube Music, and there it is. And that's, you know, whatever. That's fine. It's a little bit slower. It's a little bit not as good. So let's go back in. I don't know why I just minimized that. The other way is you can swipe into your little sidebar here, right? Then you can grab YouTube Music and then drag it over, and that's pretty good, right? Like, that's definitely a better way to split screen. You can actually change a setting so that when you just tap the app, it'll automatically split screen. I have it set up where instead it will just switch the open app, and then if I want to split screen, I'll drag it over. That just seems to make more sense to me. But I think a better situation would be 2 fingers swipe down, and then what I would get on that other side would be my cover display home screen, and then I can launch an app. I can swipe up and go into my app drawer and launch whatever app I want to launch. I think that looks really, really good. And then, of course, on a device like the Oppo Find N that has the, to me, a far superior width, which makes each app look like an app on a normal phone instead of on here. Each app looks really skinny and really narrow. As I've said about 1,000,000 times, if you're doing split screen on your Z Fold, you're going to want to rotate the thing because that looks a lot more like the Oppo Find N. But, of course, the Find N, just when you open it, that's just the orientation that it is naturally in, and I do tend to prefer that. But that bit of software, I firmly believe, will dramatically improve the multitasking experience on the Z Fold. Now, we can also hope and pray that, as Samsung is wont to do, that feature will be part of an OS update, which will come back to the Fold 2, the Fold 3, and some other devices. Please, please, please don't make this a Fold 4 exclusive Samsung. I really don't want to spend $1,800 on another Fold. I bought this one like a year ago, and it's really expensive, and YouTube is not that lucrative for me yet. So I don't know what I'm going to do if I have to buy this thing. We'll figure it out in the long run, though. What do you think of this feature, though? Let me know how you feel about it down in the comments down below. And I think that's about all I have for you today. If you were hoping for or expecting sort of a review update, total broad view of the Surface Duo and Duo 2 June updates, this video is going to be really, really long if I did that in here as well. So that's going to be in its own video very, very soon. I'm also gathering data. Go to the community page, vote on some polls, leave some comments, gathering data for that video. So do stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. Extra big thanks to my YouTube members who should be scrolling across the screen right now. You guys absolutely make the world go round. Guys, I'll see you on the next one. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.